A top White House official says stupid white hippies are the people protesting the federal crackdown on Washington, D.C. The takeover of the city's police department and the deployment of federal agents and National Guard troops to D.C. has sparked backlash in the city, including protests. White House Deputy Chief of Staff Stephen Miller called the opponents communists while vowing to continue aggressive policing measures. Joining me to discuss, Alex Gangitano, White House reporter here at The Hill. Alex, so Miller says all of the opposition to the federal takeover is from white elderly hippies. He points out that the majority of the district's residents are black, but a new Washington Post poll says 8 in 10 district residents oppose the federal takeover. That's a pretty broad cross-section of the city.
That's right. And Vice President Vance was actually asked about some of this polling that shows that D.C. residents are not interested in this crime crackdown, think that it's gone too far, and brushed off these numbers, said that from what they're hearing, people are thankful for this crime crackdown. We also heard from President Trump earlier this week who said, I've had friends who were scared to go to dinner in Washington and now we're going to dinner. So these are all pretty anecdotal evidence. Meanwhile, you mentioned that poll about 8 in 10 Washingtonians thinking that this is too much. And there's also a lot of questions amongst those of us that live in D.C. about where this federal crime crackdown is taking place. Yes, they are at Union Station. There's also federal agents by the monuments. What other neighborhoods are they in? And a lot of, anecdotal evidence about that, too, just talking amongst ourselves of have you seen them in your neighborhood or whatnot. So a lot of questions over if there'll be, movement and where they're focusing and why they're focusing on which areas.
What is the actual latest on the takeover? We've kind of had an alphabet soup of three-letter agencies from the federal government coming down to the district. Also, National Guard members from multiple states.
That's right. National Guard members have been sent from multiple red states. The ones close by to Washington, their governors have decided to send people in. We did hear from the White House earlier today saying that none of the National Guard members are doing arrests. They're just taking place in helping coordinating and organizing the effort. So far, as of last night, 630 people have been arrested since this crackdown on crime in D.C. So that started on August 7th. So we're up to that number. A little less than half of those have been illegal migrants. That the White House has said that some of them have other criminal offenses. There's also over 80 illegal firearms that have been seized during this. And then the White House often gives us what people have been arrested for, which ranges from things to having an illegal firearm, having possession of illegal substances, or there's even people that they've been wanted for assault and have been looking for them. So some interesting range of crimes there. But they've reached the over 500 threshold as of yesterday, and now we're over 600.
What about on the issue of the takeover of the district police department? Do we know exactly what's happening there? How much direction at the department is being implemented by the federal government at this point in time?
Yeah, in terms of that, we haven't heard anything about how the coordination efforts are happening. I think that's the question that a lot of us here have is what it looks like with the coordination with the Metropolitan Police Department here, and also how long this will last. I know the press secretary was asked yesterday, are there some sort of numbers that they're trying to reach here? Is there a threshold amount in order to give control back to the D.C. police? The White House hasn't given, we want to see X amount of arrests before we'll back down on the federal intervention. We do know they also have this 30-day window that they could ask Congress to try to extend because of how the home rule law works here in D.C. So a lot of questions about what the ultimate goal is beyond, what we're hearing from the White House, which is just to make the nation's capital safe.
The White House is probably not going to get Democrats to support a joint resolution to continue this takeover past 30 days, right? So is the White House thinking that there's some way to circumvent that and continue this crackdown and this, being able to run the police department without Democratic support?
Yeah, so last it was that the president is very optimistic that he thinks that they can get the votes in Congress to be able to continue this. Of course, the House could be able to pass it. But when it comes to the Senate, that's a much more difficult venture for this president. So they are relying on the Republican-led Congress to get them through. But I'm sure also having their legal team look at some other kind of loopholes and places that they can find that they can continue this. There's also the question over there's a lot of federal land here in D.C. versus D.C. City land. And so where can you have different police forces, like, of course, the Secret Service here at the White House and around the Capitol Police. So a lot of kind of jurisdiction loopholes that could be looked at here in D.C.
And the president also hinted the possibility of other cities being next on the list of places where federal government might assume some responsibility in an effort, what he says, is to fight crime. But for now, we'll leave it at that. Alex Gangitano at the White House, thanks so much.
Thanks, Drew.